So thank you this evening for joining us in this great opportunity to speak to one of the main pillars and movers and inspirers of this great art of Aikido, Robert Nadeau Shihan, who was a direct disciple of Morihei Ueshiba Sensei. And we have done a video, if you haven't seen it, we've done a video interviewing Nadeau Shihan on his experience training with Sensei, living in Japan, and his memory and what kind of impact Sensei had on Nadeau Shihan's experience of Aikido. But today, what I'd like to ask Nadeau Shihan is how was the transition from being a student of Sensei into becoming a fully formed, independent teacher of the art of Aikido that he has become? Unique, incredibly unique in the perspective and the expression of what he considers Aikido to be, and yet directly aligned with everything Sensei talked about and taught himself. And I think that's a very rare event in the world of Aikido, as many teachers have a tendency to continue to try to repeat what their teachers had taught them in the past. And very few in my experience have become truly independent teachers in their own right, in the sense that they have what they walk their talk. What they teach is what they've experienced, what they have discovered directly from themselves. And I consider Nadeau Shihan to be one of those people. And I was hoping, Sensei, if you could maybe just give us a brief kind of outline on how was that transition for you, moving back from Japan to becoming an independent teacher in and of yourself, and exploring these radical, cutting edge ideas of alchemy and personal transformation and human evolution.
Okay, I'll go back historically here a bit. I think you have to understand, before I met Sensei, before I went to Japan, I was very interested in pursuing how things work. I don't remember my thoughts when I was a teenager, but I had a sense that there was something within me. I didn't know if I had the words dimensionality then, or probably not, but some kind of inner better, that there was something. So I was pre-Sensei, pre-Aikido. I was interested in sitting quietly and what the hell does that do? I started to meditate pre-Sensei, pre-Aikido. I bumped into energy. I was a bit of a jock, but I remember trying out a hatha yoga posture, looking at a book, and feeling energy move through my body. I said, what the hell is this? So very fast, it was just showing, what the hell is this? And so my interest and my inquiry started fairly young, and I just continued it. I was happy with my meditation experiences. Not that it was easy for me, but not too hard. And it seemed like I was experiencing, being aware of, with some experience of finer dimensions. And I was doing an upper style, normal upper meditation, God up there, finer, heavenly and heavenly up there. And I was kind of following that pattern because that was the pattern of the day pretty much, right? And as I experienced finer dimensions, I knew I was experiencing them. I kind of knew there was a little bit of a trickle down into my world, my life. Trickle down, I used to think of it. But my question was, does this beautiful thing I'm experiencing in my meditation, does it really exist or work here in the world? Or is it just something I can get to on my own and really enjoy it? I really liked it. It was finer, beautiful sounds, beautiful. But does it exist here? And that's the question I had when I went to Japan. In my meditation space, it's gorgeous. Does it exist here? And as soon as I got to Japan and saw those things, I said, oh shit, yes, he was showing it here. Now, how do I get to experience it that way? I'm used to this meditation thing. I'm fine with that, but I'm interested in the here-ness potential of it. And there's this guy manifesting it. So then I have to ask him, hey, how do you do that? Because I've been doing this. I don't know how to do it here, really. Okay. And so that's where I hooked in with him. I had a question, a problem, and usually if you're a real searcher, you'll bump into somebody that gives you a hand. Since they had more than one teacher or people that prodded him along. If you're interested, the teacher will be there, kind of thing, or the guide or the mentor will be there. It's kind of that pattern. So did I cover that? Oh, okay, did I miss something there?
That was good. That was good. So after leaving O-Sensei, what did you feel? How was your birthing process as a teacher? How did you birth yourself into the teacher that you are?
Well, I never did inner practice work to be a teacher at first.
Okay.
I was doing it, who the hell am I?
Okay.
Okay. How does it work? Who am I in the universe? Is there a better experience, capability? I wasn't doing it. No, I'm going to do this so I can have a class and make a bunch of money. Sure. I was very leery. I remember when I first came back from Japan, some people started to ask me to teach them to meditate. Yeah, to teach them to meditate. I stayed away. I said, oh, no. I'm just, a student. I was leery of too soon a teacher. In fact, I even overdid it, I think, where I held them off too long. Finally, I said, oh my God, this is still happening. It's still happening. Boom. And then I started to teach a bit. But I was leery of being a too soon teacher. Like, I don't know, in Aikido, we'd say a brown belt opening up a dojo. Dear God, what are you doing? Too soon a teacher, kind of thing. And in doing that, oftentimes those people don't progress properly. They start to get a little, they have an ego as a brown belt dojo owner, and they don't really progress. They're protecting themselves, kind of thing. Is that, for a dumb example, sorry. And then you're just experiencing how you experience it. You've got your own grouping of colors qualities. You've got your own travel through inner dimensions. There are some basics that we all like, center circle, which we get into, but how you experience it. So when I sit and settle, sometimes stories or examples just bubble up out of nowhere, but they're stories that bubbled up through me. And when you sit and settle, maybe different kinds of stories or different angles on the stories will bubble up. Okay.
Right.
And for example, I spent some time with Jack Wada, and Jack Wada bubbles up with stories about music. I don't know shit about music. Somebody tries to explain what he's experiencing through music. I don't know what he's talking about. And I tell him, shut up, because I'm not following you. I mean, even dumb words like notes. I don't even know what a note is, So don't use that language with me. Great if you're with other musicians or something, but with me, that example doesn't do anything. Okay. So I'm just explaining my examples. And I'm kind of a Yankee boy, not particularly educated, so I don't try to be a scholastically university speaker. It's not me. Okay, I come from working class.
I've heard you use a lot of military campaign metaphors.
That's a hobby.
Yes, right.
It's a hobby. I sort of was fascinated by World War II. Yeah.
But how did the language, because this is what I find so remarkable, is that even though, I mean, you have a core language that you use that pretty much gets well communicated with everybody that you work with. Center circle, easy the eye, your fundamental workings with the great he, she, you created a vocabulary unique to your work. And that's kind of where I wanted to ask you about is how did that vocabulary get created? Was it just over time, naturally, through using, how did you experience that?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it just sort of naturally bubbles up.
Sure.
I might have bumped into things that other people mentioned and caught my attention. I mentioned dis-ease. My friend liked that, the way he'd say it, dis-ease. And that's cute. It makes a lot of sense to me. But it's not my first word, I might throw it out because I think it's a cute word. And it gives a little meaning to being at ease and not being at ease, being dis-ease, but it's not my word. It doesn't, but I might use it. I may say God. That word's been used by a lot of people for a lot of years, right? So there are certain commonality kinds of things, but most of my stuff tends to be from my experience and my sense.
Right. Could you speak to us a little bit about, one phrase that you use often, and my understanding of it when I heard you first use it, to now has grown, and I've appreciated it more and more, and I see that it is an open-ended investigation into something very vital. But the word that you use is center circle. And could you just speak a little bit about what that means for you? Because I think that's a unique phrasing that I first heard with you.
Well, I'm sure it's not new. Okay. Let's see, where should I go? How I bumped into it. Okay, when I first started Aikido in California, they mentioned being centered.
Right.
Okay, I don't think I ever heard that word, and that should be centered. I played with that. I felt it. Centered caught my attention. So I would play with being centered. Okay. In class, they would ask you to be more centered. They would teach a technique and say, now do this more centered. Those words were, at that time of Aikido, were strong words. This is the Tohei presentation kind of thing. It was very strong then. And just in playing around with centering, I was really touched by that. There's something, my feeling, my experience of center was like, wow. Here I was a jock. I'd run around and pumped iron for years. I started young. But playing with center was a different feeling. And that caught my attention. Ooh, this is different than heretofore. So playing with centering and noticing that you functioned a bit better, you felt better, okay? And then having interest in energy, continue to not refine it, but go into the finer of it, okay? and begin to catch that this sense of a center, energies are moving up and down this center. And that's an inner sensing. And again, the energy sense came pretty fast to me. I mentioned I just was looking at a hatha yoga book first day and trying to do some posture, looking at this book, and I can feel energies moving around. What the hell is that? I didn't know what energies were. Is it just me, or can other people feel this? I didn't know. And I'd say to people, energy, and they'd say, well, energy, you mean electricity? They didn't have a Oriental sense of energy, ki, prana, chi, where the hell are we going?
So a center has a line.
Center. Yeah. So a lot can be done with center. Okay. Because there's finer dimensions of center. For example, I would use just a stick to represent the beginning practice of center. Okay, there's a stick that kind of is close into my spine. They overlay there a bit, okay. And then as I begin to sort of settle and open, whatever words I was doing then, and letting this center, it would begin to show a fuller, more thicker
Like a
pipeline kind of thing. Yeah, as I continued, the pipeline would, for me, become a glass or plastic, and I could see, sense, feel the energy moving up and down it. Okay, and on, and it would go deeper, and when it went deeper, it would show taller, deeper. So just playing with that was like fun, and you'd feel better.
Yeah,
because even at that level, your energies are balancing better. Therefore, an offshoot is you feel better. Offshoot, I move better. Offshoot, my technique is better. Okay, an offshoot of being better. Okay, so there's center. Now it has a counterpart. I'm thinking we got to throw in a sensei example here. There's center and there's circle. Like we have two types of people, those who are, well, maybe three types. Those who are center oriented first. Some other people are circle oriented first. Then you have those who are kind of centered and circle balanced people. Okay, so I'd say we got three groups of people. Okay, most of them being the circle or centered types, and some are both center and circle. They're probably people are just naturally more balanced, kind of thing, at a certain level. Now, where are we going to go? Okay, let's go over his history. Sensei, he was a center major. From being a little kid on the beach, where his father forced him to do sumo, and he caught on really quick that there's something in interior energies that affect his center, and he really worked that. So very quickly, he got away from being the sickest kid in town, the weakest kid in town, to growing very fast. And as a young teenager, he's already doing strongman stuff. Okay, and he continued with that. Then, although he said he had a sense of the more of things, he hadn't really activated them. So he reached a certain point where his center was really good, but the circle began to nag on him to want to show it's there more than he had heretofore experienced. And that's where Deguchi came in as being his mentor. Okay, since he had a lot of center, said, I'm missing something, something not clear. Boom, he's drawn to Deguchi, who is a kind of a circle also major. Taguchi's very advanced. He's got both center circle, but he's really good at circle. And so he lays out how circle works and facilitates sensei catching on to this. Is that okay? So
Yeah,
I'm just
great.
saying, yeah, that his style was center first. But now some other people are circle first. What the hell does that mean? Circle first. Their situation, help me here. Their situation, they're aware or sort of balanced in their situation, and because they're comfortable in their circle, their situation, there's some degree of a center or experience, but they're not deeply centered like the centered folks are, but they have a little bit of being present. Yeah. See, if you have a center, circle has to begin to show because it's a natural, original presentation, how creation was created, we could say.
Right.
Okay. So you hang out with one of the other one's trying to show because it's a partner, center to the circle, circle to the center. Right. Okay.
When you use it as kind of a facilitation tool or a travel vehicle or a way to get the students to find themselves, to find a pathway to moving into a different dimension of themselves, what are you, can you speak a little bit more about what you're hoping the student is going to get in touch with when you say center circle? I think you've said it very well, but in terms of how you perceive the student, what you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, basically, all I'm trying to do, and I think any quote spiritual approach, I don't know if I like that word spiritual, is to get people to move into a better level of themselves, an interior dimensional level. Right. It'll be much better in the world if there were more Roberts and fewer Bobbies, and definitely no weird Bobbies, dangerous buggers. So we're trying to get people to catch on to the more of themselves. Okay, so they feel better, they function better, they relate better, all that stuff. Right. Okay. So what's the question? So in being more centered, just working on that, we're really saying to somebody, your interior, your inner finer has a better beat. Yeah. If you can begin to play and experience that inner sensing, you'll feel better. So we're just trying to get them to the better of themselves. Using a center or a circle, or a little more advanced circle and center and circle. So again, I'm a center type. That really caught me at first. So that's where I can, I don't say really better with those sensei or understand him a bit, because he was a center major, and I think I was pretty much a center major, but I had interest in the finer and more and stuff like that. But my first work was a lot of centering. I got a lot out of it, or a lot happened because of it. So anything, circle to center, center to circle. Now interior, easy. There's an interdimensional, and it also is center. I'm just playing around. I'm just screwing around. But my quick image sense, I'm not really experiencing it fully yet, but I'm first aware of it, of course, is this little bit of a glow. This center rod is glowing a bit. Okay. Now, for really to do this, I should hang out and experience the center glow thing, but we're just bullshitting quickly here. And I don't know where I was going. I got lost. Where am I going?
And your connection with the circle shows up in after that. Your relationship with your environment is different then, yeah. Obviously.
Yeah. So as you get a little bit better with this, a little more finer dimension, then you know there's a relationship of center to circle and circle to center. Remember, a lot of centered people, as a strong centered person, I haven't been, I don't know today, but historically, that's social.
Mhm.
I can sometimes be not socially,
Antisocial.
not quite antisocial, but yes, I could lean that way. Good center, not so great with the circle, or a little bit of circle because I like the beautiful ladies, whatever, you know. I have my friends, of course, but a little vague there. Okay. But as you catch how it works, you include it more.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, you know that looks crappy, the circle, the circumference situation is an easy settle. You can begin to see that circle situation in a different dimension.
Nice.
And you begin to see some daylight there.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah. So I would start to people with a lot of centering because that's my thing at the time. But more advanced, I'd introduce the circle center or center circle. Yeah.
I've heard you speak about opening up to recognizing the situation as an ally. Is this the quality of what you're referring to right now? Where you recognize that the situation or the context is a partner to ally with?
If I'm following,
Yeah.
you begin to catch on that, let's say the situation is a little icky or bothers you. Oh, okay. The situation is two ukes coming at you and you're not quite comfortable with two ukes, the situation.
Yeah.
Now there's a relationship between a circular situation and the center. You're saying, hang on a second, guys, let me play with this process here. That the center is trying to remix to be a better nage for two ukes. So the situation, although looking potentially negative, has in its dialogue with the center helped the center to grow, and the center is better in place with the circle or the two gates.
Nice. Yeah, perfect.
Kind of it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of there in a nutshell.
Yes, that's it.
We got a big one going on now with the corona.
Yes.
That was an immense.
Yeah.
My feeling that basically, oh my God, the situation is really crowding me. What should I do personally, inner, finer center? Go deeper, take advantage of the quiet pause, can't get out in the world. Good. It's trying to almost force you to dig into the inner center of yourself.
Can I just ask, are you referring to downtime right now?
Yes. Oh, we call it down. I call it downtime. Yeah.
That's another one of your useful vocabulary lessons.
Yeah.
So
Downtime.
please speak more about that. I mean, continue. You're
Downtime.
Well, just the process you're talking about with Corona.
Okay. I haven't majored in checking it out, so it's more of a personal.
Sure.
I don't know, for example, what it's trying to do on a nation, bigger than nation, worldwide thing. It's a worldwide, goal.
Yes, right.
And I'd like to get a little time up. I'd like to play with the sense of what it's trying to do, what circle the center is trying to do on a worldwide level. But back to personal right now. To go deeper in yourself, downtime is one word we use, deeper in yourself, so that the inner finer of yourself rises to the occasion, is the law of balance, trying to be more balanced with that. Okay, so I have to dig a bit deeper. Now we've had people who, let's see, I haven't touched on this for a bit, people who didn't want to do any Corona downtime.
Right.
Now there it is. And they're fighting it from the get-go. Okay, they're fighting it. Others said, "Oh, what a nice chance to settle a bit more and be with my family." And some people were starting to get something out of the first stages of this down center time. I remember reading things in the paper, people saying, "Hey, this is kind of cool. It really gives me an opportunity to settle with myself, take stock of my surroundings with my family." A lot of nice things were coming out.
Yeah.
Now, again, we have certain levels. Some people say, "That's enough. Now I want to get back out into the world." And they start to fight back out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I would imagine a lot of people can't do the fullness of the downtime necessary to deal with the corona. So you're getting a lot of people, and they're talking about a lot of mental anxiety things because of corona. Oh, they're cracking up and they're this and they're that. They haven't done enough of that inner center, deeper, finer that can equalize that. So some people are coping and others aren't.
Right.
Some are freaking out, really freaking out.
I would
So
imagine,
there it is right there.
I would imagine that some people haven't even been introduced to the process of going downtime or going into that process. They haven't even been introduced culturally or through their life experience that's even an option. And
Yeah.
And that, in that sense, part of the reason why I'm doing this talk with you is because what you're offering is very valuable information, very important, an important perspective to sustain.
No, it would be nice. Some of these things are very simple. It would be nice if they could be gotten across,
Right.
To more people or something.
How does the concept of downtime, and I don't know if we can segue into this, how does the concept of downtime relate to your theory of the potted plant?
Okay, let's see. Potted plant. Now, if this plant wants to grow more, it really needs deeper roots.
Sure.
Okay, but doesn't have room here.
Right.
After a while, it's going to fade in that tiny pot.
Right.
It won't be able to. Okay. So the potted plant theory is realized within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have dimensionally much more room with much more energy, soil, and that the soil by law gets finer and finer. So it's not just dirt, but it's one of those you buy in the store that's which is called enriched soil or something.
Sure.
Yeah. Within your system, that's how it works.
Right.
So as you settle down deeper, you're moving into potentially finer energies, finer level of qualities of your energies.
Better nutrition.
More juice.
Yeah, more juice. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Did we cover anything with that?
No. So, but what comes to my mind is how do you physically introduce that process of going deeper into a deeper state of a pot? For a person who's stuck at the conceptual level, they got to feel that in their body. How do you introduce that to somebody? Imagine you're talking to somebody who's never had this experience whatsoever.
Well, in some cases, it's even in our language. Let me see if I can come up with things like, we even say that guy's not very grounded. Don't people who aren't into grounding use that phrase? He's not very grounded, that guy. Or he's a floater. Help me here. He doesn't have his feet on the ground.
Sure.
And these are common English expressions, no, that everyone would sort of understand.
Right. Okay.
So even at that level, now with an Aikido background, I'm used to introducing simple things. Okay, you've got a big children's class. What I love to play with the children to introduce to them grounding and centering and roots is to pick them up. Play this game of now you're kind of like a tree, easy, settle. And I introduce some basics. And then if they're establishing a trunk with some root, you go to pick them up and damn, they start to get heavy. And even some little kids, you can't pick them up. And I mean, you can get them. But if you just use what you use, oh yeah, you pick them up, it's easy. Yeah. But if they continue to do the game, you can. And they love that when they can.
That's great. I'm gonna steal that one from you, Sensei. I'm gonna steal
that's
that.
A basic.
That's a good.
That's one. A basic. No, I love it, and the kids love it. They be a tree. Be a tree.
I've done the tree one, but I mean I haven't done the lifting. I've been doing the contact that Sohei would do, but the lifting I think.
Lifting. And all you have to, if you're going to do it, if their arms come up like that, you have to get them to settle down a little bit more. So you have a handle. Let's call it a handle, as opposed to a handle.
Cool.
I remember introducing this. I'm just passing through some kids' class. It wasn't an Aikido class. It was a kids' school. I forget who invited me or why, but just there for a half an hour or something. And I introduced that be a tree, ground root, and going around doing that. And there's this little girl there, I don't know, 9 years old, something like that. And she got into it so well, I could see she was transfixed. She was like, oh my God. She was just there. And I didn't even try to lift her. She was so obviously there. I said, nice, isn't it? She said, oh, yes. She was transfixed. She was in this other dimension experiencing it. And she was like, wow. Nice. Wow. And I would have loved to have worked with her some more, but again, I was just passing through here. Right. But that's fun. Yeah, to get them to learn how to.
That kind of that I've noticed it, and I just want to remark on the nature of your teaching, is that you're very good at transmitting. You're a transmitter. So that's part of the uniqueness of the way you teach, because you don't hit them at the intellectual level. All the intellectual level is stimulated in your classes, but you transmit what you're trying to get across, and that transmission is contagious. It has a quality of being felt sense at the level of the body. And you do that so well because you transmit it through your body and not just through the words that you explain.
Yeah, this is very important to me. So the center circle, another way of looking at the center circle is circle as a great mind and center as a body.
Okay.
Sure. And there's a relationship between the mind and the body. Okay, not my idea and my body. I don't mean at that level, really. I have a bigger sense of that, of course. But anyway, mind, body. It's okay to have. I would like to stand better, whatever standing better means. Okay, so that idea is presented to its partner. Its partner is gathering itself. I'll do a slower form here. Not yet. It's just beginning to gather. There's a vague sense of a flutter underneath my feet here. Boom. Okay. Not a great stand. I don't know how much you can see on that.
We got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
And again, I would like to stand better. Oh, it's building up more. I can feel this build up. And the timing, here it comes. I don't know if you can see anything, but I can begin to feel something. It's fuller. It's definitely stronger. There was a few glitches, but I don't major in the what's wrong. I major in what was good. As I continue, what was wrong will be taken care of. There,
Sure.
I forget, maybe a little weakness in my knees or something. It's cold out there today, and I haven't moved around yet. But that'll be taken care of as I continue, because it will continue.
Right.
So idea to the energy, desire to the energy. They're partners based on a very original creation. If I understand, creation was a pure idea of creation and the pure stuff of creation. Okay. And that was, as I understand, an original.
Yeah.
So based on that, any place down the line, it works to the level that you're at.
Right.
Following that pattern. Yeah.
Right.
So
If you can allow yourself to take a step from where you're at in a single step from where you're at into a new level of yourself, then that process works. But if you're trying to go back to an idea of what you think you should be, then that can be maybe a misdirected step, or maybe a step or something that doesn't actually fully. It's only an idea of better rather than actually being truly better.
Yeah. It's an ancient problem.
Yeah.
Apparently it started very early in the game of creation. And apparently, as I understand it, it continues to be a major where people say, I'm aware of it, I got it.
Right.
And they ain't got it. It's like they're talking about it, but they ain't got it. And we have a lot of jokes about people that overdo this. If you can't do it, teach it. You know, that's kind of based on that.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't experienced it, but I know a lot about it, so I'll teach that.
Sure.
I was like, yeah, but you're not teaching the harmony of the two. And you're continuing to major in this. And I think we have a lot of words, and so to some degree, even the general public is kind of aware of this. I blank at the moment. Anything?
Just on
The
concepts or
I
good
think
idea, but
when there's an old English phrase that says the proof is in the pudding, which means, you know, that the proof is in the actuality of
the actual pudding.
Exactly, right. And if it's not there, it's not there. So what we're looking for is a shift in the fundamental taste of our being, not just only in the concept, but the actual taste, the actual movement, the actual application, how we function, not only in these heavenly realms, as you mentioned before, but can we bring these heavenly
Does it
realms
work?
down?
Does it work? Sure, actual. See, that's what I liked about Sensei. He was there, and it's a working.
Right.
Yes, wow. I mean, I just had to see him and say, oh yeah, it doesn't work here.
Yeah. Right.
Then it became how to get there better and what are the tricks here, because I didn't really know those tricks yet. But yeah, I'm not anti-intelligence or anti-awareness. I'm anti the people that drive me up the wall that think that's it.
Yeah, sure.
I understand, I got it.
Yeah.
And if you test them with simple tests, they break down. You know.
So I think there is that multi-dimension, not only the sense that we can move to different dimensions, but also that we fundamentally exist as a multi-dimensional system. We have the conceptual level, but we have the concrete physical dimension as well, the body, which is
center and circle.
Yeah.
Circle and center, yes.
Right.
Yes. So as soon as you have an idea, be open to its partner. Its partner's activating.
Yeah.
Don't some people scare themselves and think about something and they scare themselves?
Yeah.
No. See, having that idea, they're calling the energy. It's a natural happening. and the energy starts to move, and they get scared. So they don't want to think about that anymore because they get scared. No, they just started that thing. We kind of know that. Everyone, I think most everyone knows, you shouldn't think negative thoughts a lot, or because something funny happens when you do that. Negative thoughts, you're calling up energy at a negative level.
Right.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, is that another phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah. But once you kind of catch how it works, you work it better, you work it distinctly, you do it fully, cleanly, you take advantage of how it works.
Right. Yeah.
To see if we can help align the self, get the self to align to the physical, be present,
Right.
to align and affect the physical, or physical body, energy body, whatever,
Right.
which also takes into consideration attitudes and begins to include the circle or the situation world they're in.
Right.
So we've been working on that, and also trying to be open to other possibilities there. It's a vast potentiality.
Yeah. Isn't that it? It's a subtle, it seems like what I'm hearing you're saying, it sounds like it's a subtle extension of that, identifying a lineage and allowing the system to adapt to the lineage that you're working in. This situation, the lineage would be a healing process. Is that what you're pointing to?
Okay, let's see.
That's maybe a simplified version of what you're expressing, but I just want
Well, I think we started to play with it with my friend, who is a very good physical therapist, and the level she works is past just a physical joint. She's trained, she does that. But as she settled, got into a better dimension, she could begin to see things more. Now the energies movements start to show better.
Sure.
Continue to settle and even see finer. So it's like she's getting to the point where other people in the trade, in her business, say to her, how were you aware of that? How did you know to do that, to say that? Because she's saying at a different level.
Right.
Which is the potential for everybody, no matter what their lineage is, to get to a better level. So the natural outcome, the natural outflow, is performing better, potentially. Yeah. So
would you then say that healing is kind of a natural, a natural rejuvenation or sustainable healing process is part of a balanced system?
Yeah.
In the sense that as you move into a better, finer version of yourself, that kind of goes along with the trade, or is that something you have to consciously engage with?
Let's see. Sort of based on the concept that you have your own qualities.
Right.
Okay, energies, finer level energies, I changed the word to qualities.
Sure.
You've got your color mix. I've got my color mix. Right. Even though we're both in martial arts, our sort of slant on it is a bit different.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. So we've all got our own little grouping, not to get into historical, but which apparently we chose in very early times, very early, but I don't want to get into beginnings of creation stuff here. But you've got your grouping, I've got my grouping. As we settle, the grouping that's there gets to be present better, show itself more. That's why your basic meditation or settling or opening or allowing. So that's there in finer dimensions, you can begin to be there more, and the balance of it. In there is a natural healing. I kind of like the word that came up years ago in Esalen days. One of my friends was a top of the line guy, and he liked the word dis-ease, meaning if you're at ease or balanced or squared away, you're at ease. And if you're a little disjointed, you're potential dis-ease.
Right.
Kind of thing. So I always like that word, the way that he used to say it.
Cool.
So there's a natural inherent balance. Finer begins to show better, be present better. It's aliveness, could we say, at finer levels. It starts to have more impact, kind of thing. So in anybody that squares away is potentially on a self-healing thing.
Right.
Okay. But if we're going to major, my friend is a major in medical. I'm not. But it would be the same process, basically. Aren't we trying to do that in Aikido? If you're better in here, your technique, the way your hands move, your ability to touch them better, all of that. So everything follows the pattern.
Sure, but
Okay.
at the same time, my own personal experience, there are times when going through a process, I can find a window or another step of myself, which is moving more easily, less effortful, less strain, better alignment, all happening kind of by itself, better relationship, blah, 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 blah. And I call that in when I've been sick. I was teaching a seminar in Tel Aviv, and I just called that in, and boom, I stepped on the mat and I could do the class. I mean, I was dead sick. I was laying in bed, shivering and doing the whole thing. I called that into action, and I did that. But then after I taught, I was sicker than
I was just going to throw that out.
Yes.
And as soon as the workshop was over, weren't you sick again?
Exactly. I was worse.
Yes.
I was worse.
I know. Yeah.
So I'm just saying,
I've never done that. Yes.
Yes. But how do we include that component so that maybe I need to step out into this stage, whatever it is, but I can also include that component so that when I'm done with my work, I haven't burned myself out in order to kind of perform at that higher level of myself. I realized I needed to add some level of kind of acceptance or allowing a certain level of myself to be part of the process, or I was going to leave that part out and have to pay for it later. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Sort of. Okay, the first early example of this, we're back to Hombu Dojo Japan days. Heavy drinking was par for the course in those days.
Sure, yes.
And so there'd be nights of long-term heavy drinking, and the next morning at the dojo, heavy duty hangover.
Yes, yeah.
You get on the mat. Suddenly, after a minute or two, you're okay. There's no hangover.
Right.
See, but what have you done? You've settled, you've opened. Using my terminology, you've moved into a better dimensional level of you is more present.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The heavier view, he who has a hangover, you're not in that heavier realm. You've settled and opened, and you've shifted dimensions. You've shifted realms. So for the whole class, you're okay. Class is over. Damn it. There you are again. You sort of move back out into the heavier hangover place. That used to happen more than once. That was funny.
Yeah. So the question is, can we transition through that phase of that better version of us, so that we include that heavier version of us in somehow processing it or giving it space to recuperate as part of what we're doing for ourselves as we perform at the same time. So we're self-sustaining as we're performing. We're not excluding a dimension of ourselves, but we're including that dimension of ourselves that needs care as well. Maybe it wouldn't be the same level of performance. Maybe it'd be a different level, maybe a different exploration altogether.
I sort of lost you. Can we slowly go back over this?
Sure. But let's say, okay, in my experience, there's the capacity to align and allow and evolve into a better performance, a system that performs better.
Okay, hold it there. Let's go a step at a time.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll lose you. I'm
Yeah,
not
okay.
too bright. You have to understand that.
Right. Sure.
My turn.
Yeah. Go.
Okay. I'm in a heavier level. Let's call him Bobby. Okay.
Right.
And Bobby doesn't perform too well, or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. As I settle
Yeah.
and things open, I am making a dimensional shift. Easy, settle, open. I'm shifting dimensions.
Yes.
There's a sense of more breathing room, but it's not just I'm breathing. There's a sense of a little more airiness here, which my body seems to take advantage of. Easy. I begin to sense that I'm a little more grounded. Suddenly there's a little activity in my feet, little energy bit. I feel a little more grounded. Oh, my seat on my derriere on the chair feels more here.
Right.
So in this inner, finer dimensional move or awareness that it's there, things are changing.
Yes.
And I don't have quite the thoughts of Bobby. I'm moving into a Robert form that I use. And Robert is calmer. Robert has a better sense of seeing things. I can even sense my vision covering a bit better.
Right.
A little calmer, a bit. So I've just done a dimensional shift to my interior.
Yes.
For lack of a word.
Yeah.
And there's a better level there, better centered, better grounded. The energies are a little more alive. If I didn't feel like doing something as Bobby, as Robert is like, well, let's give it a try. Let's do that for a little bit. So whereas Bobby says, leave me alone. I'm on the couch, don't bother me. I don't want to get up, kind of thing. So level says, let's try it. Let's play. Or whatever it says.
Yeah.
Now where are we?
So in that example, you recognize that sometimes when we access that example, we come back out of that period of operation, and we come back to a state that we didn't, the hangover. We come back to the hangover. And I'm wondering, it's okay. This is a side note that we need to discuss, but this isn't necessarily the direction I was hoping to take the conversation tonight, because I want to talk.
This is kind of interesting. Maybe we have to stay on this one.
Okay. So, in the sense that after that excess of a larger performance state of, we find ourselves coming back to that hangover state. Okay.
Yeah.
So we do it, what I refer to as a yo-yo or a bungee jump. We go out there, but we come back. And we didn't transform the situation that we were facing. We kind of escaped it in order to access a greater state. We accessed a part of ourselves evolved to a certain degree, but another part got left behind. I don't know how better to explain it.
Okay. Can I say it this way?
Yeah, please.
If I'm following you.
Yeah.
Okay. The heavier of me is suffering from too much drinking. What's the word we're using?
Hangover.
Okay, the heavier me is hangover.
Sure.
I settle, get to a finer.
Yes.
And all the things of hangover aren't here for a while. Are you talking about, now, can't we sustain this forever and a day? And why do we get back into the hangover after the class or whenever?
But if you were to do this, let's say you have a hangover, okay? And you don't have to teach, you don't have to walk on the mat, you don't have to do anything. It's just you and hangover. And you go, okay, I want to mix a better processor of hangover. I want to mix somebody who can process the hangover in a better way. And you open up to a higher level of yourself, and boom, suddenly you know what to drink, you know what to do, you know what to breathe, you're suddenly aligning, and the hangover
is changing.
It's changing, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now I think you threw in a little intro.
Yeah.
I would like there to be a mix of a guy who could handle
Yes.
hangovers.
Yes.
To me, that would be a half step.
Yes.
Not bad, not wrong, just a half step. And then this system will be a guy who's still kind of drunk, but he doesn't stagger or something.
Right.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. I just like to go a little further, finer with it, where I'm not trying to create a guy who deals with being hangover-ish. I just like to continue a little finer. So.
No, but what my suggestion is, if we went into a greater state of ourselves, couldn't we also include the capacity to process the hangover as well?
Yes.
Whereas in the past, I didn't process the hangover. I bounced back into hangover land, and like, wow, I'm after the hour,
Okay.
I'm worse off than I was before I started the process.
Got some time to make up for there.
Exactly.
There's other things that come into play.
Okay.
Okay. So one possibility is in the inner, finer experience, that maybe we didn't do as good a job as we could have done being more fully that inner character, that inner level of being, that we were aware it was clearer, but we weren't experiencing enough clearer. Clearer is just a make-up word for whatever. And so you can shift from that finer level back to the heavier level kind of fast.
Yeah.
Because you didn't take root as the finer, you didn't really feel yourself. You might have been aware with some experience, but more experience. It takes on for lack of words, a substantiality. There we go. Substantiality.
Nice word.
That can hold itself for quite a while.
Sure.
But again, it will dissipate after a bit because we have other forces going on here. Okay.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people touch something nice, and then boom, the next moment they can be back to their angry self real fast. Again, I'm saying one reason for that is they're aware of nicer, but they don't really experience the nicer in dimensions. And there's both the awareness and the experience.
Sure.
And there's a lot of vagueness by people on the experience of it. They're aware. Many times they think they're having an experience. And I would say they are percentage-wise. I'm aware, and they're feeling it a bit, 10%. Some of them are better. They're aware and they're experiencing it 20%. But there's the fullness of experience. That's why I always said, put it in your body. Stop being just aware of it.
Sure.
Now, put it in your body. It took me a while to figure out what he was talking about there, but this fuller experience, mind-body harmony, the bigness of that mind-body harmony, not just, oh yes, I'm aware of mind-body harmony. I believe mind-body harmony. There's an actual thing here, a kind of a substance, even though it could be lighter and all of that. It's a something. So he walks his talk.
It seems to me that you're pointing to this ability to kind of experience the level that you're moving, that you're in such a way that you have tasted it, you've gotten in taste with it before you, because if you don't ground into where you're at, it's difficult to process into a new state of oneself. If the whole system hasn't been included, it's hard to engage in order to engage in a movement towards another dimension, in dimensionality. If we're a state of in disinclusion or non-inclusion, then whatever part we've left behind as we move to another level is going to bite us in the ass, basically,
or pull us back out.
Exactly right.
Okay, so when we meditate or do some work here,
right,
You can't keep hanging on to your Bobby.
Mhm.
Easy.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Mhm.
I used to play games like those thought things of Bobby were balloons, and I'd cut strings.
Okay. There you
Let
go.
those things go.
Sure.
And that began to take too long because it's got to be a faster way of doing this. But you got the sense of what I was trying to do and what other people are trying to do when they cut from that thinking pattern. Let it go.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
They quiet down. Not trying to quiet down Bobby's thoughts.
Yeah.
That becomes an endless fight too. I tried that for a long time.
Right.
I threaten him and I plead with him and I'll buy you a milkshake if you let me meditate quietly for an hour. You know, all kinds of stuff. And that just got kind of bullshitty there.
Mhm.
So where are we?
So
So yeah, the clearing, the easy, the settling is an actual shift from that level of thinking being
yeah,
to this level of thinking. And if you do a lousy job at it, it's still dangling there and going to pull you back.
sure.
But because you didn't do a good job of clearing.
Right.
So, so that's why those first few steps could be important.
Yes.
The first level, second level, third level, to make sure you're doing a good job. You're aligning right, in that.
Okay.
And if you do lousy, it pulls you back faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Yeah. And someone catches on to being calm, and then they're shocked by how fast they get back to being angry.
Right. Right.
So what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get deeper into the calmness,
Mhm.
soak in the calmness, experience it
Mm.
really, really fuller and fuller. And then the draw, you can sustain it then for quite a while, not forever,
Mhm.
because there's other forces again. We have in creation some kind of beat that creates, and all that's created follows back on that beat. So there's a great beat, a great breath of creation, could we say? And so here you're still in that beat because you're still in creation. So
Right.
there's still a potential push and a potential eventually pull,
Mm.
and you learn to hang out there.
Right.
Okay, so you can sustain better because you're more. You can. I don't know. I'll come up with better words one day, but you can sort of balance in that movement.
Rather
But
than
at first,
rather than trying
tighter.
to hold it, rather than trying to hold it, you're more
Yeah,
with it or surfing it. I get
yeah,
the image that you describe comes across like a somebody on a surfboard who's waiting for feeling the ebb and toe
yeah,
of the water. For,
yeah, yeah. And to live with. I, if I wake up tomorrow morning as Bobby,
mm,
God forbid, weird Bobby, he's even worse. But it's not a shock because I know there's that.
sure.
And I just take an extra moment and I'm moving into this.
Right.
It becomes my choice. I begin to recognize it better. I recognize faster because I've played with it. Anybody
Mm,
can play with it.
mm,
It recognizes when they're being pushed a bit.
mm,
Okay.
right.
Either because of the way their thought patterns are going, or physically you can feel the energy if you
Sure.
stand and settle and open. And I try to practice that with people. Just have them feel that original movement so they recognize it earlier.
Right.
If they don't recognize it, it's there and it kind of pushes them. They get tighter, tighter, and more negative and weird.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one trick is to catch it earlier and start to deal with it. Oh, something is trying to come through. I better settle and open so it doesn't push me. It's not really trying to push you. I kind of play the game that it's talking to you. So you settle and open and let it say what it's trying to say, which is part of your mix, your energy mix, therefore your quality mix. So you learn little tricks there. I don't know. Did we say anything intelligent here?
But I just like to say for those people that are watching right now, my deep appreciation and gratitude for Nadeau Shihan in sharing his time and his perspective and his energy as a gift to the community of Aikido, and for those people who are drawn to that exploration of what it means to move into a better dimension of ourselves in relationship to the world around us, and how that impacts the world around us in a way that's concrete and fundamentally coherent and congruent and accessible. And in terms of meeting teachers who are able to transmit that and facilitate that, Nido is one of the rare individuals that has that skill and that great capacity to do so. I want to say thank you, Nido Sensei, for sharing that time and sharing this talk with us. And I hope that we'll be able to do it again and go into some more themes together about along these same lines. Anything else?